Hi, I'm Eve Rodsky, author of Fair Play, a well-researched modern answer for families needing balance, efficiency, and peace at home. In this series, I sit down with friends for a fun and necessary conversation. It's time for In All Fairness. This episode of In All Fairness is brought to you by Tide Pods, a powerful clean in one step. In this episode, I had the pleasure of talking with Whitney Port and her husband, Tim Rosenman. Whitney is a television personality, fashion mogul, and host of the podcast With Wit. Tim is a producer. At home, Tim and Whitney are parents to a beautiful baby boy, Sonny. Raising a 2-year-old while managing careers behind and in front of the camera comes with challenges. But it's clear, communication is key to Whitney and Tim's marriage. Whitney, Tim, thank you so much for coming to talk fair play and all things in the home with me.
Of course.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Same.
Tell me how you met again.
Yeah.
You said in New York?
So, yeah, we met in New York. We first originally met through a good friend, and then that good friend ended up helping him get a job on The City, the show that I was filming in New York. And then we worked together and got really close, but didn't actually get together until after the show was over.
So I would have lost my job, so I kept it very professional. But you know, we really fell in love while that show was being filmed.
Yeah.
And then when it got canceled, we were both like,
now we can actually be together.
Before we get in, we're going to play a few games, and I want to answer a letter that somebody submitted to us, a problem that we can hopefully help her fix.
Yes.
Dear Eve, I'm a new mother and I'm exhausted just thinking about all there is to do in a day. In addition to the basics like feeding, changing, and rocking my baby to sleep, I'm barely able to get in a shower, put on clean clothes, or even eat sometimes. My husband is a super great guy, and I know he wants to be an involved father, but holding the baby isn't enough. He's always asking me what he can do to help, and to be honest, that question really bugs me. What I want to say is look around, pick anything. I realize that he's not a mind reader, but part of me wishes he could just figure it out. From Figure It Out. So I'll call her Mrs. Figure It Out.
Aww.
One woman, again, in the 500 plus that I interviewed, she said to me the same thing, that she wanted her husband to figure it out. In the same interview later on, I found out that she admitted to dumping wet clothes on his pillow when he forgot to take them out of the dryer. I had another woman telling me that she doesn't want to talk to her husband about the home, and then she created an Instagram account called My Husband Doesn't Pick Up or something like that. There's a similar account in Japan that has over 500,000 followers where these women are publicly shaming their spouse by taking pictures and posting them on social media.
But not saying anything to their faces.
Right, to their faces.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's a lot of people saying that they don't want to have sex. I said the truth is stranger than...
It's too passive aggressive.
It feels that way,
They're not
right?
going to get anywhere.
And so I just thought maybe today we can talk about communication.
Yes.
And I'd just love to hear your thoughts, any advice for Mrs. Figure It Out, and then we can talk about what would happen if we have a system in place, what is Fair Play is all about communication tools.
Yes.
So that you have a better way to communicate in the home. You talked about in your podcast about your miscarriage, and you had a quote that said, it forced us to have conversations that we wouldn't necessarily sit down for so long and have.
When that happened and we were driving back, it just, we needed to talk. We didn't want to sit in the car in silence after that. It felt like just an important time to talk to make myself feel better for what we had just gone through.
The only way to really work through something and feel like you're on the same page is to say it out loud, because the more you are just working through it in your own brain, you're creating a scenario that may not even happen.
Can you say that again? I think I think we need to say that 100 times.
Yeah, I do this all the time.
Yes.
I'm always anticipating what's going to happen before I even problem solve with him.
And you forget that you haven't actually communicated it to him.
Yeah,
right?
sometimes I've said stuff in her mind that I've never said. I'm wait, I don't remember.
Instead of being passive aggressive or coming in hot and being like, I'm done. Because you just don't want to get to that place, because then you're starting from way far behind.
Everybody still has to communicate, but it is nice to start where there's a level of just, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. The Fair Play system started with a spreadsheet called The I Do. And I thought, I was obsessed with this idea of invisible work. And I kept thinking, well, if I just show my husband all of what I'm doing behind the scenes for our family, it'll change everything. I send it over to my husband. I just get not even the courtesy of the 3 emoji trio, just that monkey where its eyes are covered, right? So he's just like, this is not,
like
I'm
too much.
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I realized in that time that, lists alone don't work, but systems do. I
Yes.
want to show you some cards in the Fair Play system. Every single quantifiable thing you have to do in your household is represented in these cards. When Mrs. Figure It Out said, what I want to say to him is look around, pick anything. I thought it could be fun for me to hand you these cards and for you just to pick one randomly, both of you. And then together, both of you will help me give context for what it would mean if he was really going to truly take the card.
That task. Yeah.
And the whole premise in the book, the whole Fair Play premise is based on ownership.
I'm going to pick this one.
Okay.
Is that one of them?
That is the dishes.
The dishes. Okay.
In our house,
We have a full-on dish routine.
Okay, I want to hear you this routine.
So I don't cook. Timmy does all the cooking, which is another probably
That's another card.
More than most.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a
yeah,
more than most.
another more than most
In your
scenario.
face, loser husband.
So, oh my God, I'm like the what's the
No,
bad
you're good.
mom?
No, you're
Less
no,
than
no, there's
most.
no,
yeah, I'm the less than most.
no, there's not at all. You're called a collaborator. And
Yeah,
by
you're
the
the
way,
best. I
I mean,
love
that's
you.
what I'm saying. There's no bad moms. When you have more than most, it means that you're stepping into your true power and you're in the world.
Yes.
She's
You
funny.
are a more than most too, but you're a collaborator.
Cooking is something that he really enjoys and he wants to do. The dishes are something that nobody enjoys,
ever
and it's the
wants to do.
worst
It's the worst.
job,
It's,
right?
it's an amazing loophole
So-
in that
That's right.
but it's true. I do like to cook, so it's like not really fair that I then get to go watch TV while she
Right,
does the
and
dishes.
that he gets to make this whole huge mess,
Well, that's
and
the
then
thing.
someone
It's
else.
right.
First of all,
has
I'm
to
very
clean it
clean
up.
while I cook.
No, he's
I am.
not.
I
That's
am.
not true.
It is true. It's a
No,
fact of life. She does the stuff at the sink, and I do the easier cleanup, which includes putting the food away, which I also will eat, and then like
He does the
drying
drying.
and wiping down the counters. Like everyone knows the stuff at the sink is not as fun.
Okay, pull one more card, please.
Watching.
Watching. So watching is the act of watching your children. And as you know, any stage requires watching, but especially when
Yes.
you have a toddler.
Yes.
And my toddler, she decided to take out steroid cream and put it all over her body this morning as it was lotion because when my husband was watching her. Typically, his watching goes better than that, but as we know, it's really intense when you have a toddler. What may go into watching, Sunny?
Let's just say you take them to the park and you're watching them. You have to think about packing the diaper, packing snacks. How long can we be here? What time do we have to head home? What time is his nap?
We're backed up against his nap time, which is
Yeah.
we're pretty strict about. So what are we cooking? How long is
Yeah.
it going to take to cook that? So when do we need to start? Can I cook this meal and watch him at the same time without putting the TV on? I mean, there's a
Right,
million
So
different
it's so
questions.
much.
Right, I think exactly. That takes communication. That takes time. So I worry about Mrs. Figure It Out that if she just says, here, take the baby, right? Will that baby be fed? Will that baby have his diaper changed? I mean, not
Right.
necessarily unless she's having real communications.
Like, and does the husband know?
No, to do those
that?
things,
Because
right.
it's sort of irresponsible for her to just be like, here, unprepared guy, like
Right,
take this
right,
child
right,
and make him
right.
safe.
For me, I do need to pack a lot of snacks. I always need to be prepared with snacks. For Timmy's like, he's going to be eating lunch in an hour. And I'm like, but what if he's hungry or what? Or I need to bring a sweatshirt. And he's like, he doesn't need a sweatshirt. He's never cold. So it's in Sunny, the kid is going to survive,
Right,
but
right.
you have to decide what is important to you and communicate that to your husband, and then what you can just let him figure out on his own.
So what I think I'd like to say to Mrs. Figure It Out is that hopefully she learned something from talking today. Hopefully she won't be afraid to use her voice and speak to her partner and give some context and know that I'm sure her partner is going to be a wonderful, loving father of this baby and hopefully continue to grow into being a wonderful father like you, Tim, and a wonderful mother like you, Whitney.
Save
and
this
thank
for Sonny
you for
and
coming.
we'll show it to him.
Yes. Save this for Sunny. Yes. The legacy of a wonderful child is created by having two loving parents like this. So
Thank you very much.
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yes.